No free refills? Nope. Ciao a tutti, benvenuti sul mio canale. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. So in today's video, I am going to present helpful tips for visiting Italy, especially if it's your first time coming to this country. I also have some money advice for you, but we'll get into that later in the video. The tips in today's video aren't just my recommendations. These are actually from my viewers. Recently, I had the opportunity to meet two of my subscribers. They were here in Rome and we decided to meet up. And actually, it was the first time that I had ever met anybody from my channel. It was pretty cool. This next one, even after all these years in Italy, still comes as somewhat of a surprise to me. So the first subscriber that I met was Anne. Anne was here for the first time ever in Italy last month. She came with her husband and daughter, and then afterward I asked her her opinion of her experiences in this country, and they were quite interesting. So this first batch of comments relate to food, and that's to nobody's surprise. This is Italy, food. So if you're at a restaurant here in Italy, when you sit down, you will notice that there is no salt and pepper. And now that I think about it, that's actually strange for an American, because when you go to a restaurant in the USA, you will always find salt and pepper, or there should be. Quite simply, here in Italy, you need to ask for the salt and the pepper. But be mindful of what you're eating, because if you're eating something which is already salted, then you may not want extra salt. While sitting down, she also noticed that there was no bread and butter. In my opinion, I don't think Italy really is a butter culture. You can find it at the supermarket, but Italians just don't prefer to use butter. The only time you really see butter here is, well, from my experiences, is when you go to a hotel and you have breakfast in the morning and they'll give you some butter, but they kind of just do it for tourists, really. If you do find butter here in Italy, you will find it predominantly more in the northern part of this country. By the way, if you are watching this video and you are from northern Italy, can you please leave me a comment and confirm this? Thank you. In a general sense, Italians prefer a sweet breakfast, so you may or may not see something savory at your hotel. No free refills. Yeah, unfortunately, that's just how it is here. If you want water, then you need to buy individual bottles of water. That is something that I miss from the United States. I've said this next one in previous videos, and I will mention it again. It is simply a hard concept for Americans to grasp, but Italy is not a tipping culture like the USA. You do not need to leave an automatic 15-20% when you receive your bill in a restaurant. For this next one, we are still in the restaurant scene, but this came from my other viewer, Jeff. Jeff and his wife are somewhat veterans in this country, in the sense that they come here every summer, and so, yeah, they have a lot of experience here. They actually pointed out something that I hadn't considered, and I just forgot, really. But when you go to a restaurant in the United States, all too often, they seem to want to get you in and get you out. This is somewhat evident when the waitstaff comes to your table and they say, "I'll just take that for you when you're ready." Meaning, get out. Not the case here in Italy. When you go to a restaurant, you could easily spend the whole evening there. And when you want the check, you've got to ask for it. I think I prefer the Italian approach because you're there to sit down, enjoy, relax, and digest also. Ice in the drinks? No, that's primarily for cocktails here. This next one is somewhat of a myth, and it's in regards to coffee. More specifically, ordering coffee with milk after 12 noon. Now, it's not that you can't order a cappuccino, for example, after 12 noon. It's simply that in Italian culture, Italians prefer to drink something like this in the morning. Rest assured, however, if you go to a bar at, say, 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you order a cappuccino, caffè macchiato, or caffè latte, you'll get it. Don't worry about it. They'll give it to you. Be prepared to eat late, because a lot of restaurants may not be open if you show up around 5, 6, 7 o'clock. It depends on the restaurant, really. Now, if you are looking to eat around 5, 6 o'clock, classic American time, and you simply can't eat at 8 o'clock, then you want to find a place that offers either aperitivo, aperitif, or apericena. I've talked about this in a previous video, and if you want more information, click on the cards above. The next one is the classic bidet. Yeah, they use it here. They use it because there are some moments where you just need to be extra clean. On that note, Anne was also surprised to find a lack of seats in public bathrooms, and honestly, that's strange for me too as well. If you're enjoying today's video, make sure you drop me a like. This will help my channel grow. Thank you. Andiamo avanti. When you come here to Italy, especially Rome, you need a good pair of walking shoes. As a matter of fact, I go through a lot of shoes and I need a new pair pretty soon. Okay, now let's get into the money part of the video. Anne suggested bringing euros with you before you arrive in Italy. In other words, go to a bank or go somewhere and exchange your money for euros. That's actually not a bad idea, but don't exaggerate. You're probably not going to need more than a few hundred euros as soon as you arrive. One of the best ways to convert your money here in Italy is to simply use the ATM. And when you go to the ATM and it asks you if you want to continue with or without the conversion, you want to continue without. Just take the euros and go. Do make sure though that you use an ATM which is connected with a bank. In other words, if you see one of these street ATMs and you don't see any kind of bank logo, I wouldn't use it because they're probably going to charge you a high commission rate. Now, before you leave the USA or wherever you're from, I would actually contact your bank and I would ask them, one, if your card will work abroad, and two, if they charge a fee for doing transactions over here. In other words, you just want to ask them what kind of fees you're looking at if you do happen to make a purchase over here. Fortunately, Italy does use contactless. I use it all the time actually, especially at the grocery store. But sometimes the machine at the store may not work, so it is really important that you memorize your PIN number if you haven't already. Pickpockets, yes, this is a valid concern. Now, I'm not saying that you need to be paranoid when you come here, but just be aware that there are people who may try to take advantage of you as a tourist, who may look for you when you're not watching, so do be aware of your surroundings when you're here. But again, don't be paranoid, you'll be fine. Anne suggested wearing a money belt. Personally, I haven't worn one of those since I was 12 years old, but it may be a good idea. Now, granted, you will stick out like a tourist, but you are a tourist, who cares? This next one, even after all these years in Italy, still comes as somewhat of a surprise to me, and these are dogs in public. More specifically, I'm referring to dogs when they come to a supermarket and also restaurants. I have a problem with the latter. Now, don't get me wrong, I love dogs. I miss having one and I wish I had one again. But to be quite honest, when I'm in a restaurant and there's a dog next to me, I don't know, I just feel kind of uneasy, especially when the dog shakes. But that's just me. The person next to you could also be allergic to dogs. Now granted, you know, you could always separate people, but that's inconvenient for everybody, really. When you enter, when you leave a store, it's important to be polite. And the best way that you can do that is by saying these words. You probably know them, but let's review. So when you enter, you say buongiorno or buonasera. Also salve, which means hello. And then when you leave, you can say arrivederci, buonasera, buongiorno, or also salve. In other words, don't just wander in and wander out without acknowledging the people that work there. That's kind of a no-no in this country. I remember the first time my wife and I went to London and we walked into a store and she said, "Good morning." And I looked at her and I says, "That's nice, but it's not really expected." Imparate l'italiano. Absolutely, yeah. Make sure you learn Italian. I mean, the Italians will understand if you're a tourist and, you know, they will have a lot of patience with you. But they really do appreciate it when you make an attempt to learn their language. It's like you're saying to them, "I want to know more about you." And it does go a long way. If you make a mistake, I wouldn't even worry about it. The Italians are far from perfectionists. They'll never correct you. And they'll just be more impressed by the fact that you're trying, believe me. Now, per the request of my other viewers, and you know who you are, I have decided to bring back something that I haven't done in a while, and this is the Frase Italiana della Settimana. I may have taught this in a previous video, one of my first videos, but I'll do it again, why not? Now, if you're very subconscious and you want to let an Italian know that you don't speak their language very well, you can do it in this way. You can say, "Mi dispiace, non parlo benissimo l'italiano." Or, if you want to say we don't speak Italian, then you can say, "Mi dispiace, non parliamo benissimo l'italiano." Comment time. So, can you relate to any of these tips, and do you have any other good tips that people should know when visiting Italy? Let us know. If you'd like to see more of these videos in the future, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I do Italy-related videos, and more specifically ones which are of a helpful and practical nature, but I also do linguistic and cultural-related videos. Grazie mille per l'attenzione, ci vediamo alla prossima. Thank you very much for watching, I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.